Hey, welcome to the Influencer Sessions. I am your host, Mr. Jesse Cole. We have another great show lined up for you today. We interviewed Mr. Jonathan Williams, man, Pastor Jonathan Williams, and what a great interview. We talked about legacy. And legacy is extremely important as you are leading your people because it's not just about you, it's about what you leave behind and who you set up for success once you're long gone. We'll talk about that today, here on the Influencer Sessions with Mr. Jonathan Williams. Welcome to the Influencer Sessions. My name is Jesse Cole, your leadership coach. With me, I have Mr. Jonathan Williams. He's a good, I can call him a brother, a friend.
Yes.
I've been following him for about 3 or 4 years right now, he and his wife. And so I just thought I'd bring him in, and so you guys get to meet him. I love his spirit. I love his transparency and how he carries himself with grace. And to me, that's a great characteristic of a leader. So I just wanted to pick your brain on some things and to get it on camera so they can actually see what I see.
Amen.
All right, welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So let's start off with this. What is your leadership philosophy?
From a leadership philosophy perspective, I like to go to Scripture. And the Scripture encourages us and says, whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all to the glory of God.
Okay.
So my philosophy is to just give God glory in everything that I do.
Wow, good stuff. How important is that as a leader? And you were talking about God, so I know you're coming from a spiritual standpoint.
Absolutely.
How important is it for spiritual leaders to always keep in mind that it's so much bigger than that?
Oh man, it's so much bigger than that because as a core foundation, you have to have values in everything that you do. And I find my values that come from the Lord and come through Scripture and my relationship with Him. And I see it play out in every aspect of life because as a leader, one of the key components that I believe leadership should have is integrity.
Right.
And the thing that keeps that in check is my relationship with the Lord.
Right.
To keep me to be an integrable leader so that other people can have confidence and follow me.
Good stuff. You were talking about confidence, and I remember growing up, I was always placed in leadership positions, but I really didn't want to be out in front. Maybe I didn't want to be responsible for failure. And there are a lot of people out there right now who may feel the same way. Thank God I grew out of that, and I've embraced who I am in Him. We're all still growing,
Right.
but there are some people out there who have leadership potential, and God has put on them the spirit of leadership, but they are just too afraid for whatever reason to step into that role. What kind of encouragement or what kind of words of wisdom would you have for someone who's dealing with that?
Well, everyone gets scared.
Yeah.
And there are various degrees of being scared, being nervous, something you've never done before, something you've done more than once or twice. But there's always an element of being nervous or fearful. And once again, I try to rely that onto my personal relationship with the Lord and how He gives me faith and courage and encouragement. Some other things that I like to do is try to find somebody who might do something similar than what I'm trying to embark upon or what I'm trying to do. And if I have opportunity to have a conversation with them, then I have a conversation with them to help settle some of my anxiety. Otherwise, I may watch them from a distance. I have what I call my distant mentor. Some people that I don't actually know, but I follow their work and I love their philosophy. So everyone gets nervous.
Yes.
And after a while, you build up what I call a callus to being nervous, or you just get used to it and you learn how to function even through being nervous and fearful. But don't ever think that you don't get nervous because that's just part of the course.
And what are some things that people can do in order to break out of that shell of feeling insignificant or break out of that fear? What are like 2 or 3 things they can start doing like right now?
Yeah, well, get to really know what you want to do.
Right.
And the more knowledge you get, the more confident you can become in doing whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So get more information, get more materials on what you're trying to do. Also, I would suggest get a partner or a mentor, if you will, to help get you to be able to talk through some things and someone you can have a sounding board so you can actually build confidence within yourself and read, get more material, get out there and get the information, especially nowadays with the internet age and information is out there. There's some false, there's some authentic, but get out there and get the information and that'll build confidence.
You mentioned that you align yourself with people who are doing what you want to do or aligning yourself with somebody who can be a sounding board. And I believe that one concern for leaders is having that person that they can bounce ideas off of
Yeah.
and be transparent with without losing value in their eyes.
Yeah.
Now, how important is it to choose those sounding boards, to choose the right people to purge to?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. Once again, I have to go back to my core
Right.
is my relationship with the Lord,
Yeah.
right? I pray about relationships I should have
Yeah.
and what type of individuals I should surround myself around. And over the years, there have been some relationships I thought would have been good for me. It ended up being not so good for me. I put myself out there only to find myself disappointed. But it was a learning process. And I believe that God eventually narrowed those relationships down, and now I have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 guys that I can actually be transparent with and talk to, in addition to my wife, but also some other men that I can talk over to leadership strategies, philosophies, ideas, goals, and ambitions, and be transparent with, and know I'm in a safe and comfortable environment.
Good stuff. Dr. Miles Monroe, he just passed away not too long ago. I remember he said that we were created not to lead people, we were created to lead a domain or a certain area. And when I heard that, that just really transformed my perspective on leadership, because the old way leadership says, you do what I say when I say it. Even if I don't do it, you do it. It was all dogmatic. But his philosophy is God gave you a genius area or a destiny area for you to lead, and that people are going to be drawn to you as you lead in that area. Do you subscribe to that?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier, I have some of those mentors that I watch from a distance, and Miles Monroe is one of those guys. I believe that God truly anointed him and gifted him with the ability to lead and teach other leaders. And I certainly agree that there are certain areas that God gifts us in and gives us talents that we dominate, right? Not that we lord over people, but that certain area that we're very good at, we're anointed at, and we're skilled at to be able to do. And once we are in that zone, once we are in that vein, we will flourish, we will prosper in that thing. And people will naturally gravitate to it because your confidence will build. You'll know what you're doing. You'll be able to articulate how you feel, and people are drawn to confidence. And that area that you dominate in, I believe, will draw people. Actually.
How important is it for us to stay in our lane?
Oh man, to stay in your lane, it's difficult, but I believe it's very critical. And the reason I say it's difficult is when you're talented, when you're gifted, whoever you are, I believe people will try to draw you in and try to pull upon that and get you to walk in what they want you to do and not necessarily what you are gifted and created to do. So it helps us to understand and be able to say no. It helps us to build confidence to be able to know exactly what you're called to do so that you don't, for lack of a better word, just fail and embarrass God. I like to call it that way.
Jonathan, I'm pretty sure there are some people out there right now who they may be a part of a ministry or a job where they feel as if they're dominating in their area, but that environment can't really nurture where they want to go. So how important is it for us to make sure that we are in environments that can nurture our future?
Sure. Wow. I think the environment is absolutely critical. Sometimes I think Joel Osteen wrote a book that says, bloom where you're planted. And I may be quoting the wrong person. But we are to maximize in whatever area we're in, but also believe that the area we're in is so important and critical to how we grow and develop. I'm not a gardener, I don't have a green thumb, but I believe that you got to have the right materials, you got to have the right dirt, you got to have the right soil in order for certain plants to grow, right? And so the environment in which you're in will either kill you or it will cause you to grow and to develop.
Good stuff. What are some examples from your life? And you don't have to say any names or places.
Sure.
Just give us the principle of where that rings true in your life, where you were probably doing well in a certain area, but you felt yourself growing in this environment couldn't nurture where you wanted to go.
Yeah, and kind of how you mentioned earlier, in the workplace, I feel that, I work in a certain area, a certain industry, and I believe that God has given me talent and gifts to be able to be there and provide for my family. But my heart and my desire is not really in that arena.
Okay.
It's helping me get through my day-to-day and provide for my family.
Right.
And so I'm able to be produce in that area. But where God is leading me to, where God is drawing me from, is out of that arena.
Wow.
And my heart and my passion is not really there. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm just going through. I'm being productive.
Yeah.
I'm getting things done. I'm getting promotions. You know, my evaluations are great and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. But my heart, my desire is not in there.
Right.
And so the area and the environment that you're in is really, really crucial.
Right.
And can really either crush your spirit or lift you up.
Right. I was talking to one of my clients earlier, and I was telling her that it's a difference between being filled and being fulfilled. So in the event that you may be hungry for something, say, hey, I want these steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
But it may not be available to you at the time, so you settle for some cereal or something.
Right.
So your body is filled. You're not hungry anymore, but you still have a taste for what you have a taste for. That's fulfillment. And that's pretty much what you're talking about.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely. It's that substitute, right? And we can't get by on just substituting.
Right.
Eventually, we're going to have to do something with that appetite. Right. Either we're going to settle for cereal or we're really going to make sure we get that steak and potatoes.
Find a way to get the steak and potatoes.
Got to go get the steak and potatoes.
Let's talk about legacy for a minute.
Okay.
You have two sons.
Yes.
Right, and so they are your namesakes. You know, they carry your name.
Yes.
As we know, we have one life to live. We can't go to Kmart and put another on layaway. You only have one. It's a point on a man wants to die and then a judgment.
That's right.
So once you're dead and gone, and your sons are still walking this earth, what do you want to leave with them, tangible and intangible? What are some tangible and intangible things as far as legacy that you want to leave with them?
Wow. Some of the things that I instill in my children, I have two sons and one daughter, is respect for one another. And having respect for people, even if they don't respect themselves.
Wow.
Because that's something that's within you. And I've taught my sons and I've taught my daughters how to be respectful to one another.
Yes.
My sons, I taught them at a young age to open the door for your sister, open the door for your mother, things of that nature. To have a core foundation, once again, my relationship with the Lord is what guides me, and to have values. And so I do my best, me and my wife try to instill that in them, to have your core foundation built upon your relationship with the Lord, what the scriptures have to say. And to be a person of integrity. Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Right.
If it's right or wrong, it's okay, but follow through with what you say and what you mean. And I try to just instill that.
Right. How important is legacy? We have we have one opportunity to leave our footprint on this earth, and of course, it's not all about us.
Right.
But we are, like you said, we're supposed to dominate in our areas, right? How important is it for people to be in legacy mode and not just be like that hamster in the wheel, just going around and around and around?
Right. I believe that. I can talk on that for a while, but trying to sum it up. I believe that what we have, what God gives us, what our Creator has done for us, is much bigger than ourselves.
Right.
I believe that He gives us something that's long-lasting and will continue long after us. And it's that area that we're to dominate that helps us to continue. And so whether it's natural children or whether it's adopted children or whether it's spiritual children, like I say, is we instill in them some of our philosophies, some of our blueprint, some of our talents and skills so that it could continue and it's perpetuate. I believe that God is in us, and so He's a living spirit, and so that spirit perpetuates and continues on long after us because what we do is much bigger than ourselves. Right. And sometimes we don't even realize our impact or the things we've done in our lifetime, but our legacy will begin to fulfill it. And those lives that we've touched, those people that we've touched, those areas that we've touched will actually awaken and say, you know what? That was helpful for me. That was helpful for me. I can continue in that. Like the old saying goes, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yes, sir.
And when those mentors, when those leaders are gone, sometimes that's when we realize how great we actually had it when they were here. And it's like, you know what they taught me, I need to live out.
Yes, sir.
I need to continue in that thing. And it's real.
Yeah.
unfortunately, sometimes death has a way to bring a perspective and reality. And so our legacy will make sure that those philosophies and those principles continue.
Good stuff. Mr. Williams, it's been a pleasure.
Oh man,
Thank you very much for your insight, and for your wisdom, and I'm pretty sure that the influencers who are watching this are going to walk away with some good eating.
Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan Williams, that was an awesome interview. Thank you for coming on the Influencer Sessions, man. That part where you were talking about your family, that was extremely encouraging to me. I know it's encouraging to you as well, because we understand that we just don't do it for ourselves. A real leader understands that his or her responsibility is to set the next generation up for success. That's what legacy is all about. Making sure that the next generation is at a place where they can begin to prosper at a level that is higher than what you left. Man, that is extremely important. Mr. Jonathan Williams, thank you for coming on the Influencer Sessions, and thank you for watching the Influencer Sessions. And remember that what you want to become depends on your willingness to become it. Have a great day.